Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook. We got Justin Wells. And Justin, we got some great breaking news to talk about. 2026, Austin Anderson defensive back Yaheim Riley has committed to the Longhorns, joins Texas 2026 class. And not only do the Longhorns, Justin, get a local kid, they get a super versatile defensive back as well.
That's it, and that's what we've been talking about ever since this offer earlier this year or later last year rather. This kid can play at all three levels, and with Dwayne Aquina on campus now, he's got a type. I think we've discovered Mark Orfe and Aquina both kind of have a type. This is Aquina's type, and it's a guy that can play at three spots. He can play some corner, he can play star, he can play safety. The beauty of Yaheim Riley is, one, he grew up a Longhorn fan. He grew up in the Austin area, and some of those kids, just their dream is to play for the University of Texas. His game followed that up. In the last 2 years, this kid has really grown into a hard-hitting safety in the state of Texas. Former Houston commit, the Cougars were on him early. As soon as that Texas offer came through, I think it was about a month later when he decided to decommit and reopen his recruitment. This kid is just fantastic. Man, he's like a wall there. We've been watching huddles. Eric, Joe, and I have been watching huddles, and so we get in awe sometimes when we're watching these kids. But I think it's a great get because I think the number is going to be 2, possibly 3 at safety. I think if Yaheim Riley is your floor, that is outstanding. Again, his versatility is big. He brings the hit stick. He is a kid that has no problem mixing it up in the run, and it's not just in coverage. He will come up and support the run. He will he will take kids out as we're watching this huddle. And that's the beauty of it. You want a kid that's a striker. You want a kid that can do these different things. And I think that's what Yaheim Riley is going to bring to the 40 acres.
Yeah, you can see he's currently at Anderson up in Northwest Hills. He was at LBJ, so obviously familiar with –
the safeties look like LBJ highlights.
Yeah, familiar with the Makubas. He's currently ranked number 682 in the On3 industry ranking, number 62 safety, number 104 in Texas. 3-star, 56 safety, and 139 in Texas, according to On3. One of the interesting things that I remember about his recruitment, and I think speaks to that versatility, Justin, is that he was offered by Kenodo Hudson. That was the coach that came through, the Nichols coach. And while he's doing a lot in this tape, you can see him kind of playing some corner. You see him just doing things that the nickel does at Texas. You see him getting involved, not being afraid to be physical, go low in the legally allowed way in football.
Run support. Yeah.
And you also see him, coming back from the safety spot. Like, he's doing a little bit of everything that position at Texas would do, which lets you think, okay, if he can try this position at first, star, and if that doesn't work, well, you look like a pretty good safety as well.
I like how Texas is getting more particular with these guys too. Like, you've got guys that they're identifying. Is he a good DB? Well, let's break that into 3 categories. And star is definitely one. I think when we spoke to him after his trip, that was something that he discussed. And again, that's what Aquina wants. Back from the old days in the early 2000s, like he would look for guys that could play at all 3 levels. Nathan Vasher is the one that really stands out to me because he began as a safety kick returner for Texas and then wound up being a lockdown corner and then having a great career in the NFL with the Chicago Bears. It's kind of similar with Riley. I think he'll start out at star. And this could, and I still think the number at safety is going to be 2, but there could be other guys. We talked about a couple other kids, earlier in the cycle. Chase Calicut, the new offers of Kavian Occurrence out of South Carolina, Rock Hill, South Carolina. I just think he's a fit. He's a culture fit. He's a physical fit. He's local. Sometimes Texas fans get really caught up in rankings. I understand that, but you truly, at this stage in Sark's regime, you have to trust what the staff is evaluating, because in a lot of cases, they're not only recruiting the kid, they're now recruiting the parents, and they're recruiting, the people close to the kid. And because there's so much more of the dynamic of the NIL era and the transfer portal era. And so you need to have that. And that's why I said he's a culture fit. And, he's a local kid. He's going to he's living out his dream, man. He wanted to play for Texas. He's a gigantic Andrew Makuba fan. The ability to kind of follow in his footsteps, I think, is another thing that really sold this. But look, when Dwayne Aquina zeroes in on a guy, don't overthink it. When you see this guy walk from the front door to the curb to the car, open his front door, open his back door, like that's just good recruiting. That's just good relationship building. That's good prioritizing. And I think that's why Yaheim Riley's a Longhorn today.
Before we keep going, got to show some love to our sponsor, and that is Laura Baker.
Hi, I want to tell you about Laura Baker. If you're looking for a new home in the 512 or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend. Give her a call.
We'll keep the tape on the screen, but Justin, we got to talk about what this means for the class. Yeah. Hayward Howard in the fold. Also, Jermaine Bishop just joined in. Now you go ahead and add Yaheim Riley. That's 3 right there. They're still looking for a few more. You got Samari Matthews that they have interested in. Chase Calicut, they still remain interested in. And, of course, Jalen Lott kind of fits in a number of different roles in this class. But this defensive back class under Mark Orfe, under Dwayne Akina, is really starting to coalesce. And now we basically know the 2 to 3 guys that they are going to remain and pursue throughout the rest of this cycle.
Yeah, if you thought losing Terry Joseph and Blake Gideon was going to stop this train, think again. Akeen and Orfe picked it up where they left off and have been absolutely tremendous. You got to tip your cap to both those guys. Look, they're in a great position with Chase Calicut right now. I think that's going to be one of the other big takes that they're looking at. But, yeah, here at this point, this class – it's starting to finalize. And what's funny is we know how slow Sark is with these guys. They don't push. They take their time. They do extensive evaluations. It's unique when a few guys try to jump in a little early. And we've seen that before. Last cycle, Lance Jackson was a prime example of a guy they really liked, and he just said, I don't want to waste any more time. Hayward Howard said, they took time to talk to me every day. I felt like I needed to go ahead and end it and just begin this relationship full on. I think it's the same thing with Riley, and I think it's going to be the same thing with this class. They're looking at a top 5 class for this cycle once again. Their goal is always going to be the number 1 or a top 3. But with Riley, look, he's a football player. That's don't overthink it. This kid is a kid that, like you said, he tracks and smacks. I love that Hudson kind of has him pigeoned at star early on. That means they're doing very extensive evals. They're not just taking a defensive back. They're taking a guy that can play in different spots. Again, I think Calicut's going to wind up in this class. That remains to be seen. And I think they're going to keep one spot open back there at the safety for potentially flipping an occurrence kid or one of the Florida offers, or even someone else that they find out later in an eval, a later season eval rather. And so, hey, this cycle, this train is just keeping going. And I think Riley is an absolute stud adding to it.
There isn't a ton out there as far as verified speed. The only thing I could find is from his 9th grade year. He ran a 23-200, which if that's your 9th grade year, it doesn't look like he kept on going a ton at LBJ. I think last season he was on the 4x1 team and the 4x2 team and the 4x4 team. So definitely someone who was doing the sprints over for the Jaguars. He's got speed. And I think you can see just how well he accelerates on his film as evidence of that.
He has a suddenness to him that is definitely better than a 3-star.
Right. I think so too. I think there's some athleticism there. AISD doesn't produce a ton of athletes. I don't think anybody's going to be arguing that his competition is fantastic. Just that's the way it is in this part of Austin athletically. But you can still see, the traits, the speed, the willingness to throw his weight around, and willingness to, let's see what happens here. Just boom, go after guys. I know that's kind of an ankle dive, but at the same time, when you're making a play from depth at safety on a guy with a go, you just got to get the guy on the ground. So he's got a lot of really, really good traits. We'll keep talking about this over on InsideTexas.com. So make sure you head to Inside Texas, sign up. The link is in our description so you can get the very best insight. And of course, like this video, subscribe to the channel. We'll have plenty more throughout Texas recruiting efforts. So Justin, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com.